Testing one. I'd like to call the meeting school board to order. Please silence and pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, Mrs. Beal.
Here.
Mr. Brandon.
Here.
Mrs. Santor, present. And Mr. Suffolk, and I'm present.
Yes.
All four members are present.
I'd like to have a motion to adopt the agenda for removal of 2A on the addendum. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Question on the motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. Suffolk, if I may, I'll say a couple of words. The removal of 2A on the addendum is in regards to middle school athletics. That item has been taken off the agenda and will not be voted on tonight. I know that some of you are here for that itself, but at this point, the board is going to keep middle school athletics intact moving forward to the next school year. So for those of you that are here for that reason, that is the item that has been removed from the agenda. So just want to make you aware. I know some of you may want to be other places, but please feel free if you want a minute or two to leave. That's okay. Outside of that, we're going to continue. Thank you, Mr. Smith.
At this time, anybody like to speak to an issue on the agenda? Please stand, give us your name, and tell us what you'd like to speak on. We'll move on. I'd like to have a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting, May 17, 2018.
I'll make a motion. Second.
Question on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. I'd like to have a motion to approve the attendance records of committee meetings and work sessions, finance budget, taxation committee meeting on June 15, 2018, June 18, work session on June 19, 2018.
Make a motion.
Second.
Question on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? This meeting will be televised on the following days: Monday, June 25th at 6 p.m., Wednesday, June 27th at 6 p.m., on the Atlantic Broadband Channel 17, CUTV, and also you can get it on YouTube. Just go to Southampton Television on YouTube. Thank you. Dr. Wallace, your report.
Thank you, Mr. Suffolk. I'd like once again to congratulate the class of 2018 valedictorian, Ms. Amanda Gregg, the class of 2018 salutatorian, Ms. Nita DeAndrea. Of course, as you may or may not know, we have a proud mother up here of Ms. DeAndrea, and congratulations. Hatfield Elementary School. This is from Mr. This is to Ms. Mears and to Ms. Radcliffe. Hatfield students have combined to correctly solve over 4,091,000 math problems, an average of 10,490 problems per student. The current ranking as a school is 16th in the state of Pennsylvania and 39th in the nation. Congratulations once again on allowing your students to experience the lifelong benefits of persistence and practice. Congratulations to Hatfield students and staff for solving that many math problems, for trying to increase our teaching every day. Good work to Hatfield. Our Livingston, our AP Science teacher at the high school. Mary Urso, grade 7, represented Laurel Highlands at the Pennsylvania Junior Academy of Science competition at Penn State University and State College. She did extremely well, scoring a first award in her very first state competition. Congratulations to Ms. Urso. Great job. As all of you know and are aware, if you're riding through town, you can see that we're still experiencing some of the issues with the tornado we had in February. I received this letter from a family not too long ago, and I asked if I could share it with the board and I could share it with the public. And Ms. Strausser said that I could. Dear Dr. Wallace, I wanted to take a moment to let you know about some of the things our family has experienced recently. As you may remember, our family has had 7 children pass through the Laurel Highlands School District over the years. Most have graduated and moved on. Donnie is graduating this year, and Andrew will be a senior next year. So our faces are fairly familiar within the district. Each one of the kids has a story about some passing impact or a teacher who made a difference. Those are fairly normal high school memories. However, I'd like to tell you about some extraordinary kindness, things you don't experience every day. Our home was damaged by the tornado that hit Uniontown on February 15th. We had a pretty significant damage. Though not as bad as others, we lost everything. Our roof was gone, the entire top floor had to be gutted, a portion of the second floor gutted, and water damage in almost every other room. The scramble afterwards is really a blur. The first person to contact me was Mary Ellen Bosley, the school nurse at the high school, of all things. She showed up while it was raining down 3 floors and into my kitchen, and we didn't have electricity. She brought us food and water and cleaning supplies, and we were so touched. The second person was Lauren Stewart. She brought us lunch so we could keep working and try to stop the flow of water that was pouring into our home. She hugged me and cried by the side of the road with me. The list goes on and on. We are surrounded by Laurel Highlands School District family with so much support, both financial and with donations of supplies and well wishes. Joanne Fillion, Kathy Mahalko, Mr. Smith. There were also anonymous donations, envelopes that would just be passed to my kids with no names. We are overwhelmed by the continued outpouring of kindness. We thank everyone we could in person, but really I just thought you should be aware of what a wonderful group of people are assembled at LH. We will be forever grateful for their kindness, Ms. Laurel Strasser. So congratulations to our staff and to our students, to everyone that pitched in, and the community for helping those in need during that traumatic time. As you can see, your efforts do go noticed, and we have helped families. So thank you, Ms. Strasser. We hope everything turns out okay for you. Mr. Septic, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Dr. Wallace. Academic Foundation report, Mrs. Kalich.
Nothing at this time.
Thank you. Strategic Plan and Board Policy Committee, Mrs. DeAndrea.
I have nothing to report at this time, Mr. Sepet.
Thank you. Curriculum Committee, Mrs. Santor.
Item C1A, approval of WCCC Westmoreland County Community College lease agreement with Laurel Highlands School District for the 2018-2019 school year. I'd like to put that into the form of a motion.
Second.
Question on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries.
Item C2A, approve textbook orders and e-subscriptions. I'd like to put that into a form of a motion.
Second.
Question on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries.
Item C3A, approval of the EITC grant. I'd like to put that into the form of a motion.
Second.
Question on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries.
C4I is informational. Laurel Highlands recently received 3 different grants to support additional technology to assist students in coding and preparing them for future careers. First, the district received $10,000 from a United Way grant to purchase 12 Dash robots with curriculum and professional development, 8 Ozbot EVO robots with curriculum and professional development, and an iPad for elementary students. Next, the district received $4,343 for an additional 12 Dash robots with curriculum from IU1's Innovation Grant for elementary students. And finally, the district received $4,900 for 10 EV3 robots and professional development for middle school students from IU1's Innovation Grant. In addition, the district is offering a high school computer programming elective next year. That concludes my report, Mr. Suffolk.
Thank you, Mrs. Santor. Buildings and Grounds Committee, Mrs. Wertz.
I have nothing at this time, unless Mr. Raymond has something.
I do not.
Thank you very much. Finance, Budget, and Taxation Committee, Mr. Raymond.
Yes, F1, I'd like to put in motion to approve the treasurer and budget report found in Exhibit B.
We have a motion.
Second.
Question on the motion? Roll call.
Mr. Raymond?
Yes.
Mrs. Wertz? Mrs. Black?
Yes.
Mrs. Santor?
Yes.
Mrs. Kalich?
Yes.
Mr. Lamon?
Yes.
Mrs. Beal?
Yes.
Mrs. DeAndrea?
Yes.
Mr. Suffolk?
Yes.
9 yeas.
F2, I'd like to make a motion for the payment of bills found in Exhibit C.
Make a motion. Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Raymond?
Yes.
Mrs. Wertz?
Yes.
Mrs. DeAndrea?
Yes.
Mrs. Black?
Yes.
Mrs. Kalich?
Yes.
Mr. Lamon?
Yes.
Mrs. Santor?
Yes.
Mrs. Beal? Mr. Suffolk?
Yes.
9 yeas.
F3 and F4, the investment report, the summary report found in Exhibits E and D are informational. F5, I'd like to make a motion to approve the federal report found in Exhibit F.
Question on the motion? Roll call.
Mr. Raymond?
Yes.
Mrs. Wertz?
Yes.
Mrs. Beal?
Yes.
Mrs. Santor?
Yes.
Mr. Lamon?
Yes.
Mrs. Kalich?
Yes.
Mrs. Black?
Yes.
Mrs. DeAndrea?
Yes.
Mr. Suffolk?
Yes.
9 yeas.
F6, make a motion to approve the student activity funds and athletic funds found in Exhibit E.
Second.
Question on the motion? Roll call.
Mr. Raymond?
Yes.
Mrs. Wertz?
Yes.
Mrs. Kalich?
Yes.
Mrs. Santor?
Yes.
Mr. Lamon?
Yes.
Mrs. Beal? Mrs. DeAndrea?
Yes.
Mrs. Black?
Yes.
Mr. Suffolk?
Yes.
9 yeas.
F7A, adoption of the proposed school district general fund budget for the fiscal year 2018-2019 found in Exhibit H. A number of meetings have been held by the Finance Committee regarding the proposed budget for fiscal year 2018 and 2019. Based on the outcome of these meetings, it is recommended that the budget be approved as follows. Budget resolution. Resolved that the Board of Directors of the Laurel Highlands School District adopt the general fund budget for the Laurel Highlands School District for fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2018 and ending June 30th, 2019 in the amount of $50,241,685. The necessary taxes levied and appropriated as set forth in the 2018-19 general fund budget. Tax levy resolution in support of the 2018-19 school year budget. The following tax resolutions would need to be adopted.
Mr. Raymond,
Yes.
you can vote on the first resolution before you go into the...
F7 first.
Okay. So put the budget into a motion.
Correct.
Make a motion.
We have a second on the budget?
Second.
Question on the motion? Roll call.
Was that Mrs. Black? No. Oh, Mrs. Santor.
Yes.
Mr. Raymond?
Yes.
Mrs. Santor?
Yes.
Mrs. Black?
Yes.
Mrs. Kalich?
Yes.
Mr. Lamon?
Yes.
Mrs. Beal?
No.
Mrs. Wertz?
No.
Mrs. DeAndrea?
No.
Mr. Suffolk?
Yes. Motion carries 6-3.
FPA tax levy resolution. In support of the 2018-19 school year budget, the following tax resolutions would need to be adopted. 17.4680 meals. I'd like to put that in the form of a motion.
Second.
Question on the motion? Roll call.
Mr. Raymond?
Yes.
Mrs. Santor?
Yes.
Mrs. Glad?
Yes.
Mrs. DeAndrea?
Yes.
Mrs. Bortz?
Yes.
Mr. Lamb?
Yes.
Mrs. Beal? Mrs. Kalich?
Yes.
Mr. Suffolk?
Yes.
9 yeas.
Put in the form of motion to keep the per capita found in item number 2, per capita in item number 3, earned income tax in item number 4, realty transfer tax in item number 5, local service tax in item number 6, mercantile tax in item number 7, mechanical devices tax in item number 8, and the trailer tax in item number 9. I'd like to put that into motion.
Second.
Question.
Let the minutes reflect that those are all at the same rate as last year.
Yes, keep it the same.
Thank you, Mr. Frankhauser. Roll call.
Mr. Raymond?
Yes.
Mrs. Santor?
Yes.
Mrs. Beal? Mrs. Glad?
Yes.
Mr. Lamb?
Yes.
Mrs. DeAndrea?
Yes.
Mrs. Kalich?
Yes.
Mrs. Bortz?
Yes.
Mr. Suffolk?
Yes.
9 yeas.
Item F8, Homestead Farmstead Exclusion Resolution in Exhibit I. Adopt the 2018-19 Homestead Farmstead Exclusion Resolution as per attached Exhibit M. This will result in a property tax reduction of $155 for each approved homestead farmstead property. I'd like to put that into a motion.
Second.
Question on the motion. Roll call.
Mr. Raymond?
Yes.
Mrs. Santor?
Yes.
Mr. Lamb?
Yes.
Mrs. Kalich?
Yes.
Mrs. Glad?
Yes.
Mrs. DeAndrea?
Yes.
Mrs. Bortz?
Yes.
Mrs. Beal? Mr. Suffolk?
Yes.
9 yeas.
Mr. Frankhauser has a comment.
For those who may not know what our homestead farmstead exclusion residence is, if you have your home registered with the Fayette County Tax Assessment Office as your homestead, you will be entitled to this reduction in the tax of $155. So for those of you who may not have registered your homestead, please do so with the Fayette County Tax Assessment Office on the 44th courthouse.
Thank you, Mr. Frankhauser. Okay, Mr. Raymond.
F9, approval for adoption of the tentative 2018-2019 Fayette County Career and Technical Institute budget in the amount of $7,084,613. Laurel Highlands share is $1,082,040. I'd like to put that into motion.
Second.
Question on the motion. Roll call.
Mr. Raymond?
Yes.
Mrs. Santor?
Yes.
Mrs. Beal?
Yes.
Mrs. Glad?
Yes.
Mrs. Kalich?
Yes.
Mrs. Bortz?
Yes.
Mrs. DeAndrea?
Yes.
Mr. Lamb?
Yes.
Mr. Suffolk?
Yes.
9 yeas.
F10, permission to award quotes for insurances for the 2018-2019 as follows: general liability, workers' compensation, and errors and omissions insurance. I'd like to put that into a form of motion.
Second.
Question on the motion. Roll call.
Mr. Raymond?
Yes.
Mrs. Santor?
Yes.
Mr. Lamb?
Yes.
Mrs. DeAndrea?
Yes.
Mrs. Glad?
Yes.
Mrs. Bortz?
Yes.
Mrs. Kalich?
Yes.
Mrs. Beal? Mr. Suffolk?
Yes.
9 yeas.
F11, grant permission to make all necessary budgetary transfers for fiscal year ending June 30th, 2018 if necessary. Make a motion.
Second.
Question on the motion. Roll call.
Mr. Raymond?
Yes.
Mrs. Santor?
Yes.
Mrs. Bortz?
Yes.
Mr. Lamb?
Yes.
Mrs. Glad?
Yes.
Mrs. Beal? Mrs. Kalich?
Yes.
Mrs. DeAndrea?
Yes.
Mr. Suffolk?
Yes.
9 yeas.
F12, approve permission to award TAN. Make a motion.
Second.
Question on the motion. Roll call.
Mr. Raymond?
Yes.
Mrs. Santor?
Yes.
Mrs. Beal? Mrs. Glad?
Yes.
Mrs. Kalich?
Yes.
Mrs. Bortz?
Yes.
Mrs. DeAndrea?
Yes.
Mr. Lamb?
Yes.
Mr. Suffolk?
Yes. Excuse me, Mr. Raymond. Mr. Frankhauser.
For those who do not know what a TAN is, that is a tax anticipation note that is approved by the board this evening that allows the board to obtain a loan through a local, through PNC Bank, as it would appear this evening, that allows for drawdowns to allow for cash flow pending the receipt of tax money. and that is only taken down if necessary. So that's called a tax anticipation note.
Thank you, Mr. Frankhauser. Mr. Raymond? Go.
F13, permission for federal programs and cafeteria funds to borrow money during the 2018-2019 fiscal year from the general fund as needed. This is part of our normal operations procedure. I make a motion.
Second.
Question on the motion? Roll call.
Mr. Raymond?
Yes.
Mrs. Santor?
Yes.
Mrs. Beal? Mrs. Wertz?
Yes.
Mrs. DeAndrea?
Yes.
Mrs. Black?
Yes.
Mrs. Kalich?
Yes.
Mr. Lamon?
Yes.
Mr. Suffolk?
Yes.
9 yeas.
That concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Raymond. Food Service Committee, Mrs. Glad.
FS1A, I'd like to put into the form of a motion the cafeteria report, which is Exhibit J.
Second.
Question on the motion? Roll call.
Mrs. Black?
Yes.
Mrs. Kalich?
Yes.
Mr. Lamon?
Yes.
Mr. Raymond?
Yes.
Mrs. Santor?
Yes.
Mrs. Beal?
Yes.
Mrs. Wertz?
Yes.
Mrs. DeAndrea?
Yes.
Mr. Suffolk?
Yes.
9 yeas.
FS2I, this is informational. The Laurel Highlands Summer Food Program began on Monday, June the 11th. There are approximately 25 sites participating in the program this summer. Mr. Suffolk, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mrs. Glad. Security and Transportation Committee, Mrs. Beal.
1A, approved to hire a school police officer for 180-day contract at $15 an hour.
Ms. Beal, I believe the individual that you would like to hire for that position is Mr. Dave Simpson, correct?
Right, thank you.
Okay.
Do we have a second on that?
And I do have a comment. This additional officer would mean that we would have one armed officer in each of the elementary buildings, including one at the middle school and at the high school. So I believe it's an asset, and safety is number one.
Thank you, Mrs. DeAndrea. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Beal? Mrs. DeAndrea?
Yes.
Mr. Raymond?
Yes.
Mrs. Wertz?
Yes.
Mrs. Kalich?
Yes.
Mrs. Santor?
Yes.
Mrs. Black?
Yes.
Mr. Lamon?
Yes.
Mr. Suffolk?
Yes.
9 yeas.
Motion carries. Does that conclude your report, Mrs. Thank you, Mrs. Beal. Human Resources Committee, Mrs. Kalich.
Personnel and Labor Relations, Professional Personnel, P1, I, and A, requests for retirements, other leaves, and resignations. A, accept the retirement of Mrs. Michelle Zahala, Title I teacher at Marshall Elementary School, effective June the 6th, 2018. Mrs. Zahala has 19-plus years of dedicated service to the district. I'd like to put that into the form of a motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries.
I would like to.
I have a question on this motion. Would we be replacing this Title I teacher?
Well, before we get to that, I would like to state that I myself had an opportunity to work with Ms. Sahala as a building level principal, and I can say that she's a very dedicated teacher, always had the students at the forefront of her mind, did an excellent job, and I appreciate her 19 years of dedicated service to the district. So thank you, Ms. Sahala. To answer Ms. DeAndrea's question, no, we will not be replacing that position. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mrs. DeAndrea. Mrs. Kalich.
P2A, conference request. Approval of Mr. Dan Arnold, elementary STEM teacher, to attend the Computer Science Summit, June 26th to the 28th, 2018, in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Approximate cost is $519. I'd like to put that into the form of a motion.
Second.
Question on the motion. Roll
Yes, I
call.
have a question on the motion. Is this mandatory? And will this be coming out of general funds or Title I funds?
As far as being mandatory, I do not believe that it is mandatory. On the fund side of it, I believe that is coming out of Title. Am I correct there, Mr. Lee?
I thought that is correct.
Right. That is part of the regulations that title funds come with, that we earmark certain trainings for staff, programs for staff. This falls within that category.
We have a second on that? Roll call.
Mrs. Kalich,
Yes.
Mrs. Black,
Yes.
Mrs. Beal,
Yes.
Mr. Raymond,
Yes.
Mrs. Santor,
Yes.
Mrs. Bortz,
Yes.
Mrs. DeAndrea,
Yes.
Mr. Lamon,
Yes.
Mr. Suffolk.
Yes.
9 yeas.
P3A, permission to post for high school gifted and middle school autistic support classroom. I'd like to put that into the form of a motion. Second.
Question on the motion? Roll call.
Mrs. Kalich,
Yes.
Mrs. Black,
Yes.
Mrs. Beal, Mr. Lamon,
Yes.
Mr. Raymond,
Yes.
Mrs. Santor,
Yes.
Mrs. Bortz, Mrs. DeAndrea,
Yes.
Mr. Suffolk.
Yes.
9 yeas.
I'm sorry, I would like to clarify, this is only a posting, correct, Dr. Wall?
I didn't hear what you just said.
This is only a posting.
Correct, only a posting.
Support personnel, P4A, accept the retirement of Mrs. Mabel Brownfield, paraprofessional aide at the middle school, effective June 6, 2018. Mrs. Brownfield has 26 years of dedicated service to the district. I'd like to put that into the form of a motion. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries.
Once again, I've also had the opportunity to work with Ms. Brownfield throughout my career in Laurel Highlands School District. She's a wonderful lady, and she did a great job. Thank you for your service in 26 years.
P5A, approve Laura Myers as the successful bidder for the high school cafeteria manager position, per terms of the collective bargaining agreement, effective at the beginning of the 2018-2019 school year. This requires board approval since it is promotion. Her 7-hour cafeteria helper position will be posted. I'd like to put that into a form of a motion. Second.
Question on the motion? Roll call.
Mrs. Kalich,
Yes.
Mrs. Black,
Yes.
Mr. Raymond,
Yes.
Mrs. Santor,
Yes.
Mrs. Beal, Mrs. Bortz,
Yes.
Mrs. DeAndrea,
Yes.
Mr. Lamon,
Yes.
Mr. Suffolk.
Yes.
9 yeas.
P6A, approve Debbie Simpson as the successful bidder for the high school 7-hour cafeteria helper position, per terms of the collective bargaining agreement, effective at the beginning of the 2018-2019 school year. Her 7-hour cafeteria helper position will be posted. I'd like to put that into a form of a motion. Second.
Question on the motion? Roll call.
Mrs. Kalich,
Yes.
Mrs. Black,
Yes.
Mrs. Bortz,
Yes.
Mr. Lamon,
Yes.
Mr. Raymond,
Yes.
Mrs. DeAndrea,
Yes.
Mrs. Santor,
Yes.
Mrs. Beal, Mr. Suffolk.
Yes.
9 yeas.
That concludes my report, Mr. Suffolk.
Thank you, Ms. Kalich. Athletic and Extracurricular Activities Committee, Mr. Lamb.
Thank you, Mr. Suffolk. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for coming out today on such a rainy day. Appreciate you being here. Under A&E 1A, award bids for fall sports, I'd like to put that in a form of motion at this time, and that would be Exhibit K.
Second.
Question on the motion? Roll call.
Mr. Lamon,
Yes?
Mr. Raymond,
Yes.
Mrs. Santor,
Yes.
Mrs. Beal, Mrs. Bortz,
Yes.
Mrs. DeAndrea,
Yes.
Mrs. Black,
Yes.
Mrs. Kalich,
Yes.
Mr. Suffolk.
Yes.
9 yeas.
Under A&E 2A, permission to solicit bids for winter sports. I'd like to put that in a form of motion at this time.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries.
Last item, A&E 3A, approved request by Mr. Robert Costello, head boys cross-country coach, to take the boys and girls varsity cross-country team to Hershey, Pennsylvania, cross-country invitation on September 21st and 22nd, 2018. I put that in form of motion this time, and that is at no cost to our district.
Second.
Question on the motion? Roll call.
Mr. Lamon,
Yes?
Mr. Raymond,
Yes.
Mrs. Black,
Yes.
Mrs. DeAndrea, Mrs. Santor,
Yes.
Mrs. Beal, Mrs. Kalich,
Yes.
Mrs. Bortz,
Yes.
Mr. Suffolk.
Yes.
9 yeas.
That concludes your report, Mr. Lamb.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you, Mr.
Mr. Frankhauser.
We do have one grievance that's pending arbitration, and that now has been scheduled for July the 19th. We'll keep the board posted on the result of that arbitration matter with the service employees. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Frankhauser. Dr. Wallace.
Under general matters, G1A, in case no regular board meeting is held in July, request permission for administration to pay regular bills, cafeteria bills, federal bills in July. These bills will then be presented in August at the regular meeting, unless a special meeting is called in July or earlier in August, and they would be presented at that time.
Make a motion.
Second.
Question on the motion? Roll call.
Mr. Raymond?
Yes.
Mrs. Blatt?
Yes.
Mrs. Kalich?
Yes.
Mrs. Santor?
Yes.
Mrs. Beal?
Yes.
Mr. Lamb?
Yes.
Mrs. DeAndrea?
Yes.
Mrs. Wertz?
Yes.
Mr. Summey?
Yes.
9 yeas.
Like the board, G2A, I'd like the board to consider a motion for permission for the administration to solicit and award bids for equipment and supplies, etc., for the 2018-2019 school year if necessary, prior to the next board meeting. This includes all emergency situations. These would then be presented to the board at the next regular meeting.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Question on the motion? Roll call.
Mr. Raymond?
Yes.
Mrs. Blatt?
Yes.
Mrs. Beal? Mrs. Santor?
Yes.
Mrs. Kalich?
Yes.
Mrs. Wertz?
Yes.
Mrs. DeAndrea?
Yes.
Mr. Lamb?
Yes.
Mr. Summey?
Yes.
9 yeas.
Moving on to the addendum agenda. 1A. I'd like the board to consider a motion to approve a bond resolution to provide construction services, possibly for 2 elementary schools or other buildings in the district, in addition to a bond restructure of current debt with Janney Montgomery Scott LLC.
Make a motion.
Second.
Question on the motion? Roll call.
I have a question on the motion. It is approximately $1,400,000 of this bond that is going to be used to balance the budget. Is that correct?
That is the restructuring portion of the bond. The construction portion of the bond would be another number dependent upon what we qualify for and what we turn into the bonding agency for construction projects.
And if we were to get this bond, we would not be eligible for another bond until approximately 3 years. Is that correct?
That may or may not be correct. It all depends on what the market bears and where our rating goes after this bond and what the bonding company is willing to do. I can't say distinctively that we will not qualify or that we will qualify. We do not know those items, or we do not know that information until we actually ask the bonding company for a specific amount of money to do a specific project.
And our rating now is in the minus, correct?
It's an A-.
Thank you.
I have a question. Without this approval, that would mean furloughing upwards of 22 staff members in our district, correct?
Yes, it could mean that.
Thank you.
One additional comment, because we did meet with the financial advisor last week on one of the budget meetings, and her exact words was, this was like putting the Band-Aid on an open wound that is continuing to bleed. And we will still be in this exact same situation next year. And she also referred to kicking it like a can down the road.
So she did say that, and she did say it was like putting a Band-Aid on. She also said that it's unfortunate that school districts across our state have to do this because our legislators are failing us. There's a House bill right now, House Bill 76, that can be passed and eliminate property taxes and fully fund our schools. But that bill is not being passed. So I would urge you to write your legislators. You know, we had to sit, I took a half day today to sit with Mr. Hench and Mr. Smith to go through just to keep middle school athletics. That was going to get cut tonight. We were not going to have middle school athletics. If we don't pass this bond, we will furlough 20 to 25 teachers. We will eliminate middle school athletics and possibly high school athletics. So I would tell you to keep that in mind. This is a Band-Aid, and we need to work very hard this next year with every department in this district to make sure that we are fiscally responsible. 70% of our budget is salaries, wages, and benefits and pensions. 70%. Only 30% is used for transportation and other things in the district. That's not very much.
I'd just like to say
10 other districts in the state just did this. Just that it's either that or we don't pass a budget. We come to a budget impasse and we're taken over by the state.
They don't care. they'll come in, they're strangers, they don't care who you are, what you stand for, they'll just cut everybody that they think will balance the budget. And this is not new, because two or 3 years ago, I was the finance chairman, and I tried to encourage the board. We had to do these kinds of steps a little bit at a time. Now we're in this situation, and regardless of what the bond person said, she's not sitting up here to have to make these decisions. And I'm not going to be a person who's going to send a letter to one of our young people in the school district that their job's going to be eliminated the following day. So just make it clear, I'm voting to save the positions, and I don't like doing this either. But when I retired, the school district was paying 2% of my salary for retirement. We're now paying 34% of every person that works in the school district because the state has failed their responsibilities to do something about it. And they benefited from that 18 years ago. So, let's move on.
I'd just like to add a comment. Dr. Wallace and myself, we were in Harrisburg 3 times in 2012, 2013, and 2014. We met with Governor Corbett's aides, and they frankly told us quite blank that there was no help coming from Harrisburg for our public school system here across the state. Nobody up here, myself included in this, wants to raise taxes. Nobody here wants to float this bond. And however, nobody up here wants to see 22 teachers, employees, laid off in our school district. We're obligated to give our children here at Laurel Highlands the best possible education that they can receive. That's why you're all here tonight. You're very concerned, you know. And the lady was from the bonding agency. She did say it was like kicking the can down the road. Now, I'm going to tell you something here that you all know anyway. Unfortunately, kicking the can down the road is kind of like the American way. Anybody in here not have a house payment, a car payment, or refinance your home? What all we're doing here is refinancing this bond. I know we're kicking the can down the road, but unfortunately, all across America, they print money, dollar bills, 20s, 10s, 50s. There's not enough gold in Fort Knox to back that, like it was years ago. So if anybody out there, as well as up here, has any fix that we can solve this without raising taxes, without financing this bond, we're all ears. We can delay this till June 30th. But unfortunately, I don't think there's any way possible, like Mr. Sepik said, and Mr. Raymond, and Dr. Wallace, to save the positions that we can offer the quality of education to our students here at Laurel Highlands. Thank you.
Also, I wanted to make another comment. I've been around a long time, teaching a lot of years of administration. We are required to have a budget by July 1st. The state is not. The first year that our Governor Wolf, it was 9 months before he passed the budget. The second year was 6 or 7 months. So they force us to pass a budget, and they don't even have a budget because they can't pass one. And Governor Corbett wanted the school district to use their fund balances up because he said we were holding too much money in fund balances. And at that time it was $5.4 billion. And his point was, use that money up first, then come to the state. Well, we've come to the state, and they still haven't done anything. So let's move on. We have a motion and a second. Go ahead, Maker. Go ahead.
We have a wonderful staff. We have wonderful teachers. We have wonderful custodians, secretaries, everybody. But tell my 92-year-old neighbor that he's getting his taxes raised when his wife died 2 months ago, and now he's living on one check. No increases in checks, Social Security checks. 65 and over should not be paying taxes anymore. This man never had a child to go to school. Is that fair?
I think we're all in agreement that we're here for the right reasons and to provide the best education in all the programs. But again, I want to stress how difficult it is. We really don't have, we don't have the money. As a board member, we are put in the hardest position. Do we raise taxes for elderly, people on a fixed income that can't afford it. The last time we raised taxes, they mailed me a new payment book for my house, $100 more. I live in a household where there's 2 incomes. There's elderly that are not as fortunate. We really are in a difficult situation, and my biggest concern, again, is we are going to be in the same situation next year at this time, according to that financial advisor. It's putting a Band-Aid on the problem. It's bad. It's really, really bad, and I want to stress that.
Yes, it is a big problem. And when I ran for this position, I told the public that I would always be honest with you. And we will raise taxes again. Until there is legislation that fixes this, we cannot keep up with costs. Every year, look at gas. Gas goes up. Paychecks don't go up. It's the same thing. The rising costs of education, anybody that owns a business, you give your employees a raise. There's healthcare expenses, there's retirement expenses. Those things happen, and we don't get any support from the state. That's the bottom line. We run out of funds. The only revenues that we have come from local taxes. We lost $250,000 from a reassessment at Uniontown Hall. We have to pay back taxes from previous tax years. The real question that we have as a board is, do we feel that it is better to restructure this bond, or do we furlough 20 to 25 teachers? And in my estimation, that would be an elementary school. So we would just close an elementary school. That's the bottom line. And then class sizes would grow by 1/4. So they would grow 25%. It's a very hard decision, and I too pay taxes. And I have 2 daughters in the school district, and I know many of you. I have a grandmother that struggles to pay. I have family members that struggle to pay. We all do. But this is just the reality that we live in. And there's no other way that I know to fix it. And if anybody else sitting at this table has another plan, speak now, because that's what we need to hear. What is
I'd
that?
like to say something. I just think we need to tighten our belts here in this school district. We have a lot of benefits that could be cut down, that aren't cut down. There was a 7-year teacher's contract. Oh, and I know everybody hates me for that, but I'm speaking how I feel. 7-year contract that we're paying, you are paying for, and we are paying for. We all pay taxes up here. That should have never happened. And also the insurance has gone up for them. And you're paying for it. I'm paying for it. I'm so tired of hearing about we don't have the money, we got to find the money. Look for it. Look for it. I believe we have the money. It's just not showing up. That's what I have to say about this.
Just so you know, everybody sitting in this audience can fill out a request to know. You can go to the administration building and do that and request a copy of the budget. I would strongly urge you to do that if it's something that you would like to see and see where all the money is going.
Everybody should go.
You can go and request that. It's the same document that I look at, that the board president, the superintendent, and everybody sitting here looks at. And as far as transportation costs and things like that, which were voted on well before I was a board member, I can't fix those. We're stuck into those contracts now. So I've been here 6 months. I haven't passed any of those contracts. I didn't pass the teacher's contract, neither did Mrs. Kalich. Neither did some of the other people sitting here. But thinking about the past, it's not going to do us any good. So I urge you to go look at the budget. If there's anything in there that you think needs to be looked at, if it's not under contract and we can fix it, I can guarantee you that we will fix it.
This bond.
That's all I have to say.
I've
Thanks.
been on the board 17 years, and I've heard it. Every year, we're going to lay teachers off, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we haven't done nothing. So you know what? You've only been on here 6 months. You don't know what has happened in the past. And there's a lot that we did that I voted no. And it still went on by other boards.
I am winded, but one last comment. When you take a bond, you are borrowing money. You have to pay it back. The taxpayers have to pay it back. And when we spoke to the consultant, the advisor last week, she asked us to come up with a plan. Dr. Wallace's plan was for the next 5 years to raise taxes. That's not an option for me.
If
We all
lay-
agree.
if we lay off
We
people-
all agree, excuse me, we all agree we have to tighten our belt in all aspects of the school district. We have a contingency of people here this evening for middle school athletics.
Excuse me, I would like to say one more thing.
Well, okay.
If we're going to lay off people, I would like to see it start at the top. Please. That's where we need to start. Not with the teachers, not with the workers. We need you. But we need to start at the top if we're going to lay off. I'm done.
With regards to the health insurance and the teacher's contract, I'm going to state some facts. And these are readily available for anybody that wants them. With regards to health insurance on the district, in 2010 we had a 0% increase, in 2011 a 0% increase, 2012 a 0% increase, in 2013 a 2% increase, in 2014 a 4% increase, in 2015 a 3% increase, in 2016 a 6% increase, in 2017 a 10% increase, and a 6% increase this year. That, over the course of 8 years, is a 3.13% increase in health insurance costs. That's pretty competitive when looking at other agencies that are supplying health insurance. The next lowest agency that supplies health insurance to groups of people or large groups of people, similar to what we do, was a 3.67% increase. So we're providing the most competitive costs that we can in the market that we're in. That's something that I don't control or you don't control. In regards to the salaries in the 7-year contract, for every dollar spent on a person's salary, the district has to provide 40 cents to state retirement and benefits. That was held at 0.5%. We worked very hard with the union. A 0.5% raise is what they got. That's it. One more 0.5% would have resulted in $2.6 million more per year in salary. Add the 40% to that, or the 40 cents to that, you have a larger cost. What that did, in my opinion, was bring stability to the district. That was smart, business-minded approach.
The taxpayers are still paying for it. More.
Roll call, Mrs.
That was Mr. Raymond and Mrs. Glad.
Yep. Mr. Raymond. Mrs. Glad made the motion. Second. Roll call.
Mr. Raymond?
Yes.
Mrs. Glad?
Yes.
Mrs. Kalich?
Yes.
Mr. Lamb?
Yes?
Mrs. DeAndrea?
No.
Mrs. Santor?
Yes.
Mrs. Beal?
Absolutely no.
Mrs. Bortz?
No.
Mr. Savick?
Yes.
6 yeas, 3 nays.
Motion carries.
I'd like the board to consider a motion to approve the $100 activity fee for all athletic and extracurricular activities. This will include all sports, major eds, color guard, cheerleaders, etc., and any other applicable program.
I'll make a motion. Second.
Question on the motion, roll call.
Mrs. Santor?
Yes.
Mrs. Glad?
Yes.
Mrs. Kalich?
Yes.
Mr. Lamb?
No.
Mr. Raymond?
Yes.
Mrs. Beal?
Yes.
Mrs. Bortz?
Yes.
Mrs. DeAndrea?
Yes.
Mr. Savick?
Yes.
8 yeas, 1 nay.
If I may clarify, that was necessary in order for us to keep the middle school sport and high school sports in operation, correct?
Yes. That was part of the plan to make sure that everything stayed intact.
Thank you.
Because it was on the table to eliminate all athletics in the school district. So we had to implement this procedure in order to maintain our athletic programs.
I'd like the board to consider a motion to approve for the band and cheerleaders not to attend away football games for the 2018-2019 school year.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Question on the motion? Roll call.
Mr. Raymond?
Yes.
Mrs. Santor?
Yes.
Mr. Lamon?
No.
Mrs. Kalich?
Yes.
Mrs. Glad?
Yes.
Mrs. DeAndrea?
Yes.
Mrs. Bortz? Mrs. Beal? Mr. Suffolk?
Yes.
8 yeas, 1 nay.
Just to clarify that as well, that was necessary in order to balance the budget as well.
That is correct. That was one of the cost structure savings that we implemented to help balance the budget.
Thank you to the band and cheerleaders for agreeing to that sacrifice.
Yes, I spoke to both their sponsors, and they agreed this was the best move to make at this point in time. That doesn't mean it can't be reinstated in the future, but that was their decision.
Motion to approve to remove extracurricular positions for budget discussion.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Question on the motion? Roll call.
Mr. Raymond?
Yes.
Mrs. Santor?
Yes.
Mrs. Beal?
Yes.
Mrs. Glad?
Yes.
Mrs. Kalich?
Yes.
Mrs. Bortz?
Yes.
Mrs. DeAndrea?
Yes.
Mr. Lamon?
Yes.
Mr. Suffolk?
Yes.
9 yeas.
I'd like the board to consider a motion for all elementary schools to start and end 10 minutes later. Staff will now report at 8:25 a.m. and leave at 3:35 p.m. Students will now report at 8:40 a.m. and leave at 3:40 p.m.
I have a question on this motion, Dr. Wallace.
Yes, ma'am.
In discussing this, it is going to make the buses more effective and efficient. Therefore, the students should get back home at the regular time. Is that correct?
That's our intent. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Need a motion and a second.
Second.
Who made the motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Question on the motion? Roll call.
Mrs. Kalich?
Yes.
Mr. Raymond?
Yes.
Mrs. Santor?
Yes.
Mrs. Beal? Mrs. Glad?
Yes.
Mr. Lamon?
Yes.
Mrs. Bortz? Mrs. DeAndrea?
Yes.
Mr. Suffolk?
Yes.
9 yeas.
I'd like the board to consider a motion to rezone the elementary school buildings.
I'll make a motion.
Can you explain that?
Sorry.
Could you explain that?
Yes, what we're looking at there is we have students that live on one end of town that are being bused across town to another school far away from a school that's close to them. In order for us to recoup some savings there, we may be able to eliminate 2 buses and save well over $100,000 in doing so. And it also gives schools an opportunity to have students that live in closer proximity to them. So that's what we're looking to do. Some families will attend schools that are closer to them. Others may be going to other schools that are closer to them now. For instance, you may have some students that are now attending a school over in the south side that a school on the north side is almost right across the street, and they're going to go right to their school. We feel like that will be more helpful to the families, more time consuming, to help get students to and from school in a more efficient and effective manner.
And it saves approximately $111,000 because we'll be able to eliminate 2 buses.
That's correct.
So it is cost effective, $110,000, and most importantly for me, the less time on the road, the safer the students.
Yes, ma'am, you are correct.
We have a motion and a second.
I have a motion, I don't have a
Second.
second. Now I do.
Question on the motion? Roll call.
Mrs. Bortz? Mrs. DeAndrea?
Yes.
Mrs. Glad?
Yes.
Mrs. Kalich?
Yes.
Mr. Lamon?
No. Vote no here because I know this is cost efficient, but I got to vote my conscience here, folks. I just don't feel comfortable putting someone in 3rd and 4th grade out of the school, putting them in another school. I know I'm in a minority on this, but I have to vote the way my heart determines, and I'm going to vote no on this issue.
Mr. Raymond?
Yes.
Mrs. Santor?
Yes.
Mrs. Beal?
Yes.
Mr. Suffolk?
No.
7-2.
Motion to approve beginning July 1, 2018, the driver education fees will be $200, $100 for the classroom, and $200 for the driving portion. I'd like the board to consider that in the motion.
I make a motion.
Second.
Question on the motion? Roll call.
Mr. Raymond?
Yes.
Mrs. Glad?
Yes.
Mrs. Beal? Mrs. Kalich?
Yes.
Mrs. Santor?
Yes.
Mrs. Bortz? Mrs. DeAndrea?
Yes.
Mr. Lamb?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton?
Yes.
Nine
And
ayes.
I want to make a comment about that. When I, first 10 years I taught driver's education. We taught every single junior in the school district. We had 3 teachers. Every single student that wanted to take driver's education was sometimes in the 300s. And the state reimbursed the school district. Now they reimburse us nothing. So there's another good example of how we've had to curtail programs because the state has failed to fulfill their responsibilities to the constituents of Pennsylvania. Thank you.
I'd like the board to consider a motion to approve with the 2018-2019 school year that all student physicals will be paid for by the student, parents, or guardians.
I'll put that to motion. Second.
Question on the motion? Roll call.
Yes, I do have a question. I believe the fee is going to be approximately $10. Is that correct?
Yes, if they come to our programs where we have contracted with clinics to do the physicals here in our buildings, that costs us $10.
It's cheaper to come to the school, get their physical, than go to a doctor's office. Do we have a second on that? Motion, a second.
Nancy said.
I second.
Roll call.
Mrs. Kalich?
Yes.
Mrs. Glad?
Yes.
Mrs. Santor?
Yes.
Mr. Lamb?
Yes.
Mrs. Beal? Mrs. Bortz?
Yes.
Mrs. DeAndrea?
Yes.
Mr. Raymond?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton?
Yes.
9 ayes.
I'd like the board to consider a motion that beginning with the 2018-2019 school year, outdoor school fees will be funded by a parent and or guardians.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Question on the motion?
She's asking what the fee is.
The fee, I don't know what it's going to be for next year yet. Miller, do you know what it was last year?
I believe it was $140.
140, and that was 70.
I talked to Mr. Hogger today, and they said they do fundraising to reduce that amount that parents would have to pay to send their children. And I also had asked Mr. Hogger to let me personally know if there was any child that wanted to go and they couldn't afford to go, then I would try to make that child be able to go in my own personal way.
To further piggyback on that, we've been very successful in the past in acquiring grants that help offset that cost. So we may be successful with that moving into the future. We've been very good at finding grants.
We have a motion.
Yeah, I made a motion. Mrs. Glad, second.
Roll call.
Mr. Raymond?
Yes.
Mrs. Glad?
Yes.
Mrs. Beal? Mr. Lamb?
Yes.
Mrs. Santor?
Yes.
Mrs. DeAndrea?
Yes.
Mrs. Kalich?
Yes.
Mrs. Bortz?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton?
Yes.
9 ayes.
I'd like the board to consider a motion to approve Ms. Shelby Nuno as an English long-term substitute at the high school for the 18-19 school year. And this is in relationship to a teacher who is not going to be present due to medical issues. And the prospect of trying to balance the budget, this was overlooked until we started today, looking at our staffing needs for next school year. This teacher just finished a long-term last year in English. She knows the building, she knows the processes and procedures. It is recommended by the administration that this individual be placed for the 18-19 school year.
I have a question on this motion. So I was at a meeting last week and one Monday and one Tuesday, and this was never discussed. That is correct?
That is correct, it did not. The reasoning was just cited.
Because this is no reflection of the individual whatsoever. But at a time when we're taking out bonds and we're raising taxes, And specifically, all board members receive schedules of teachers, the courses that they teach, and in the enrollments, we have no student names listed. And I believe this is time for us to roll up our sleeves, dig in, divide it up, and make it work. So I'm very upset that this was not brought to my attention until right now.
We have a motion, second.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Question on the motion? Roll call.
Mrs. Santor?
Yes.
Mrs. Kalich?
Yes.
Mrs. Bortz?
No, only because it was not discussed with the board until now.
Mrs. Beal? Mrs. Glad?
No, I'd like to discuss this at the next meeting first.
Mr. Raymond?
Pass.
Mrs. DeAndrea?
Now,
Mr. Lamon?
I'm going to pass right now, just to have further discussion if you want it.
Mr. Suffolk?
I'll have to pass on it. I'll discuss this with Dr. Wallace.
2 yeas, 4 nays, and 3 pass.
Okay, next item.
I'd like to have a motion to table that 11A.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Question on the motion? Roll call.
That was the motion we just did.
To table that for further discussion.
We need a motion.
Roll call.
Okay, I'd like the board to consider a motion to table 11A.
Mr. Frankhauser, want to make a comment about
No,
that?
there was a motion and a second.
Yes.
To table?
Yes.
Yes. So now we need roll call.
Who made it, who seconded? I totally missed
Mr.
that.
Sepik made the motion.
No, I didn't make a motion. We need a motion to,
I'll make a motion.
I will second.
There we go.
now we have roll call.
Mr. Raymond?
Yes.
Mrs. Glad?
Yes.
Mrs. Beal? Mrs. Bortz? Mrs. Kalich?
Yes.
Mrs. Santor?
I am passing only because I do trust the administrative recommendation, and she's done a great job from what I have heard, so that's why I'm passing.
Mrs. DeAndrea?
yes.
Mr. Lamon?
Yes.
Mr. Suffolk?
Yes, just for
Please.
one point of clarification. If I make a motion as the chairperson, I have to give my seat up to the vice president, and then she conducts the meeting from that point on. So that's the reason why I can't make a motion. So, okay, next point.
Thank you. I'd like the board to consider a motion to approve the memorandum of understanding with Pennsylvania State Police and the Laurel Highlands School District.
Make a motion.
Second.
Question on the motion? Roll call.
Mrs. Santor?
Yes.
Mrs. Glad?
Yes.
Mrs. Bortz?
Yes.
Mr. Lamon?
Yes.
Mr. Raymond?
Yes.
Mrs. Beal? Mrs. Kalich?
Yes.
Mrs. DeAndrea?
Yes.
Mr. Suffolk?
Yes.
9 yeas.
Mr. Suffolk, that concludes the agenda.
I'd like to go back to G3, Career Technical Institute report. Mrs. Beal? Mrs. DeAndrea?
I have no report at this time. Mrs. Bill, do you have a report?
Thank you. Intermediate unit report, we have no report. Any other business under any public comment? Anybody would like to make a comment? Would you like to stand, sir?
Yes.
Come up so we can hear you.
You probably could all hear my coach's voice. My name is Vincent Posey, and my daughter Katie is a member of the band. And I just have a question. We voted for the band to pay $100 participation, but then on the other hand, the band's not going to 5 football games. That kind of is weird to me, as to we're paying and then we're getting taken away. What is that $100 going to do to help the band team?
I don't think the band was included in that because that's a class.
It's what it said.
That's not what was in the motion, though. That was left out.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
That was only the recommendation of, at this point in time, from the band director and the cheerleader sponsor. They felt that they could, and we also saved quite a bit of money by keeping some staff members from the band versus sending them to, I think it's only 3 away or 4 away next year. Understand, we're really up against it, folks. We're spending many hours in meetings, work sessions, and everybody at this table takes every vote that they make to heart. I mean, you have to understand, we don't get paid for this. And we're trying our best to do the best we can for the whole school district. That's why some of us are very adamant about furloughing staff members. Yes, ma'am. Your name, please.
My name is Teresa Seaman. I have 3 kids in the district.
I can hear. Step up.
Mike.
There's a mic here. Okay, go ahead.
But my question is, I want to know what the $100 fee is going to be used for. And I want to know why it's only sports that have to pay this fee. Why are we going to include other activities or extracurricular activities?
It is not going to be just sports.
Okay, so we said it's not going to be banned, is that correct?
No, I personally, I feel that's incorrect. I voted for it to be, and I apologize to you, sir. I voted for it to be across all activities because I don't think it's fair to single out sports. I believe if you participate in musical, you should pay for it. If we're going to make our football players, softball players, volleyball players pay, it's an activity fee, not a participation.
That was one of my questions. And then what it's used for, because in reality, I feel that we do, when we have kids involved in sports, we do so much fundraising. You know, for example, this year for soccer, we're not allowed to cut for whatever reason. I don't know why other sports can, but we cannot. Our coaches have been told that. But besides that point, we have more players this year than we do uniforms. Therefore, we have to fundraise the $4,000 to $5,000 for the uniforms. And you guys know, when we fundraise, we basically end up paying a lot of that money yourself. So when we're paying for camps, we're paying for things that our kids need. You know, I have 2 kids in it this year, so that's $200 plus camps, plus uniforms and everything else. I'm going to be paying like close to $1,000 for my kids to be involved in sports. So if you could just tell me what the money is used for, and then I did want to clarify that it's not only sports, but it will be other extracurricular activities.
I have 2 daughters in the district as well that will be paying those fees. The fees, and Mr. Hench is over here, our business manager, they'll be, if you look at budgets, sports as an example, it's a $500,000 budget roughly. But there's other things like musical, band, transportation. We pay the bulk of those costs. Those fees will support that because they come in as revenues. I hope that answers your question.
Back on the issue to this gentleman on the band. Right now, I'm looking at the curriculum. If it's considered a class, that's why we rephrase the motion to applicant programs. At this point, I don't know that band will be included, but I'm not ruling it out either. But I need to determine where we stand with that from a legal perspective before I can say definitively that band will or will not be included.
So whoever.
But I'm thinking like majorettes and stuff. That's
They're
the
included.
concept. It's class.
Major, that's already.
Well, it is a band class, but they're not really.
It's not
Can I ask you a question?
Okay.
You say you do all this fundraising. I don't know if there's a cut policy in the school district.
We've been told for soccer, both girls and boys, that they're not allowed to cut, so.
That's the first we've heard of it.
I'm sorry, you mean like cuts?
Like,
Tryouts.
they can't have tryouts for soccer, so like when we have X amount of uniforms.
There's no policy.
That's just the
There is no
records
policy.
of our coaches.
And
We
coaches
just
are
cut.
allowed to cut to the minimum amount of players they need.
Okay, that's not where we school records, so that we need to clarify. But you've answered my question, but thank you.
Mr. Sevick, just as a point of clarification, there's 2 things. There are music classes that are offered during the school day that are curricular. The marching band is not one of those classes, which includes majorettes and color guard. But if we're looking at, because people are just saying band and thinking it's general all band, I think what we were talking to is about marching band, which is an after-school activity. So that would be marching band, not like symphonic band or jazz that is offered during the school day, if that makes any sense. So there is two different things that we're talking about. The majorettes and the color guard are in the marching band. It's all one unit. So that's that clarification.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All I was going to say was that every after-school program that we provide does cost money, so these fees will help offset those costs. Not 100%, but we're trying to move it in a direction where we can, try to generate some more revenues. I hope that answers your question.
All of this is in a response to help balance the budget and keep the burden of taxes as low as it can to the citizens of the Laurel Highlands School District.
Okay, my name is Mr. DeAndre, Joe DeAndre from South Union Township. I live at 144 Regency Drive. And my concern is we have all these employees, and we have a policy that they come, and if they don't live in the district, they can bring their kids to the district. And I understand when we have the money, that's great, but everybody else in here is paying, everybody else in here pays taxes. If they pay taxes to the district, I don't have an argument, but if they don't pay taxes to the district, then why are we recouping some of that fee, maybe $2,000 per student from our employees, because all the taxpayers in here pay the employees. We all pay them, they get to bring their kids here, they increase our class sizes, but we don't recoup any money there, but we're recouping it for athletics and all the different things, and then we have class sizes at the high school in some of the classes that are extremely low, 1, 2, 3 students, which I think is ridiculous.
Thank you, Ms. O'Keefe. Regarding that, Mr. DeAndre, I can tell you that not one board member here that's sitting up here now had anything to do with that policy implementation. Not one person sitting up here had an opportunity to give any commentary there, nor myself. That was done long before any of us are here. In light of what's going on, those are the types of things that we'll continue to look at moving forward. That's on the radar screen, along with other things. We're looking at everything. But I can tell you, I didn't want the constituents that are out here tonight to think that the board up here had anything to do with that, because they did not.
We have another meeting in July, and we can look at it then.
But the budget discussions, you looked at everything, and you have the power to change the policy. The board has the power to change the policy. You change policy, you changed it before, and I think that this is one thing when you're looking at how many students come here. At $2,000, if that's what you want to do, bring your kids here, then I think that's...
Well, one time, one of our neighboring school districts charged their staff, that was Fraser, they charged a fee to bring your child to the school. And I wasn't a part of that. And we can't look at it tonight. We can't make a motion tonight until you look at the legal ramifications of that. But we understand that we were saddled with a lot of past board decisions that we're now stuck with. So we're trying, we're doing our best to rectify some of these things that have happened.
I would tell you, Mr. DeAndre, if you would have brought that up at the meetings that you recently attended, I certainly would have had it on an addendum. But I was unaware of that, so I assure you that I'll look into it.
Sir?
I have a question. My name is Louis Dorgiano. I play multiple sports. Once they reach high school, like my son, he plays football, he's going to do track.
Yeah, so we can't hear you.
My son does multiple sports. So every family has somebody that plays multiple sports, can pay $100 per sport for a year. Or is that going to be one base $100 fee for all sports?
The framework that we're going to work under is still being looked at. I mean, that's one of the items that we're concerned about. This whole pay or activity fee was something new to the district. We looked at it. Once we started looking at it, we did need to find a framework to work with it. I'm working with the athletic department now to determine how that's going to be laid out. As soon as we know what that is, we'll communicate it to everybody. So there may be opportunity that if you have a student that plays multiple sports, I don't know that it'll be a one-time fee or a fee for every sport, or a reduced fee if they play multiple sports. We're looking at what other districts do, and we're getting a framework that they work within, and we're looking at how we can implement it from there.
Also, sir, it's presented to the board. Now, there's things that they're presented to this board. It's $527,000 that costs the school district to have sports. And that was to be part of the budget. And that was to take all sports out of the school district. So
I have 3 children next year, the following year. They're all going to play multiple sports. So you're going to ask me for, say, they'll play.
well, we haven't had an opportunity to discuss if your child plays more than one sport or 3 sports, how we're going to deal with that.
But it's already been passed, so that's the problem. It's going to be too late for them to have to pay.
This young lady here.
First off, can you clarify which after-school activities, extracurricular activities, are getting charged $100? So far, it's sports, and then it's band, and it's not band, and it's majorettes. Well, no majorettes are included in the marching band. I think you need to clarify it before you vote on it. Like you told him, you don't know the framework yet. Is it going to be per activity, per child? Should you really vote on it until you know all those details?
The motion read, it will include all sports, band, majorettes, color guard, cheerleaders, etc. So all after-school extracurricular activities, all of them will have to pay to participate. All of them.
So the band does have
Yes.
to pay.
The motion read,
All heard that.
sports, band, majorettes, color guard, cheerleaders, etc. So anything that happens after school as an activity will have to pay a fee. So it's not exclusively athletics, it's everything.
I have a question. Let's talk about the tax assessment of the law. My name is Michael Georgia from Mountain Creek Properties. We are one of the largest taxpayers in South Union Township and in the school district. I represent my family. The mall recently got reassessed from about a $20 million assessment down to, I believe, $14 million. Did the school district fight that reassessment?
Yes, absolutely.
Why was, on what ground did they lose $6 million in assessment?
There were 2 complete commercial appraisals completed by independent appraising agencies that were presented to the court, and both of them came in at almost exactly the same number for the mall. So to have the court make a determination as to the market value of the facility itself, they can only rely on the appraisals that were presented to the court, and that's how it was determined what the reduction in the assessment would be.
And who did the appraisal?
I have them in my
So were
office.
they paid for by the board or were they paid for by the tax provider?
Well, the mall had their own done, and the 3 taxing bodies, the township, the county, and the school paid for the second.
And they all came in at the same time?
Yes.
Convenient. It seems like we're losing a lot of tax dollars outside companies. They're owned from New York and from different places, and they fight for taxes all the time, but at the same time, the local people here that own their home and that own property locally and invest locally are putting the tax bill on the corporates that are from New York City or from wherever else.
Unfortunately, it's impossible to prevent anyone from appealing their tax assessment.
Seems like it's not helping everyone in the county.
I can't agree with you more.
Our tax
I can't agree with you more.
not as anyone else in here, but the people that own the mall that are from the city of New York, their taxes just went down $100.
And they do not care what they pay the school district.
They do not. And now we're paying $100, each person has to pay $100 for kids to play sports because some investments in New York aren't footing the bill for our kids. So that should definitely be looking into more if possible.
My name's Brett Swaney. I have children in the...
You have to go down here, so we can't hear you.
My name is Brett Swaney, and it's a shame that we're all caught up in the sports and the taxation, the extra taxation you're putting on the families for the sports. When we have to make our decisions, and nobody's job is safe. We should all know that. We don't want anybody to lose their jobs, but in life it happens.
And sometimes we have to cut jobs. Sometimes we have to cut things we don't want to cut. If gas bills go up, if I need to replace my roof, I need to make a hard decision. I can't go to my neighbor and say, you have to pay me extra because I made a bad decision in the past. I have to deal with that decision. And I might have to cut out other things in my life, in my budget, and so do you. I mean, we can't kick this can down the road. We don't want to furlough 25 teachers, but we might have to furlough some. And we might have to furlough custodians. We might have to do that. That's how life is. I mean, I can lose a job, my wife can lose a job tomorrow. Nobody knows. I don't know. Sorry.
This board is a very good board. They're very dedicated. We have tons of meetings to go to. We don't have to do this. We're all up here because we care. I put 17 years in here, 30 years as an employee. And I want to tell you that we have so many good people, so many good kids. And also, this board has worked hard. And we never agreed, husbands and wives don't agree. So, I want you to know that this board, we do work hard to try to keep everything. But there comes a time we just are hard up like this.
Yes, ma'am. Your name, please.
I just wanted to tell you, I'm a security guard over at Marshall Elementary, okay?
Yes.
And when they were saying about the armed guards, I had no problem to go and do that. I get told that I'm getting pulled. I said, okay, that's fine. Armed guards is fine. But what about when the armed guard is sitting in the front? Them kids are outside. That's open game up there. You need to either, I don't know, have somebody else to be out there with them kids. Because once that building's secured, it's secured. Them kids are outside playing. Anybody can be up there. Time it takes that guard to get to A to B, it might be all over with. You know, and I understand that. I'm a little upset because I have to leave a school that I've been there for, I can't tell you how many years. I love them kids just like they're my own. You know, I have a problem with, how would you say? I mean, me kind of getting taken out of a position that I was into and being blackballed because it was like, okay, guess what? You're getting moved. You know, these kids come back to that school, oh, where's she at? Where's she at?
I don't, ma'am, I don't think that's the case. With the armed security guards, they're going to function with a weapon, and also they're going to function in the same role that you have. But I understand you're not going to be without a job.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I was not asked. You know, if someone say, hey, would you carry a gun? Would you want to be an armed guard?
It's not a matter of just carrying a gun, ma'am. It's more complicated than just putting a gun on your side. And I wouldn't want to be in that particular role unless I had the proper training. And these gentlemen that we are trying to hire are former state policemen, corrections guards, and that's all I'm trying to say here. But you're not going to be slighted in any way. You're going to have a position in the school district, from what I understand.
But I'm just saying, as far as the kids, they're going to go back to school New Year, and they're like, okay, people they're familiar with, they're going to come back and like, okay, where's she at?
I can't answer that. I can't answer that question.
You know, I mean, I'm not trying to be a smart ass, but
when I retire next year, when the new principal took over, they didn't ask where I was.
Well, you know what, I mean, I had kids that would tell if I was coming back, and I said no, and I had them saying, oh, really?
Did you ever have some police experience? You say that you want to go to carry a weapon?
No, I work security, you know, like in a store and that, but I'm just saying, you know, at least give me the opportunity if I want to go do this.
You can't give people without police
please.
Okay.
You can, if you want to go do that training, you're welcome to do that.
The other side of that, coin, and I've worked with you, and I think very highly of you. The individuals that we have that we are arming in the district have years and years of specialized training in handling a weapon, and knowing a threat and how to assess that threat, knowing how to deal with a threat inside the building, outside the building. In order for you to accumulate that type of experience and certification, it's going to take years. And we need to act now to keep the health, safety, welfare of our staff and students in place. We know, and I had this discussion with you, we're going to deprive you of an opportunity to serve the district. We're not doing that. And we're not going to do that. But we would not be acting in the best interest of you or the district if we just gave you a gun and put you in charge of guarding these schools.
Yeah. Well,
there's just too much that can go wrong there. Nothing against you and your abilities. It's just we would not be acting in a prudent manner if that was to happen.
I'm just saying there should, I feel in elementary, there should be 2 guards too. Because them kids are smaller. You know, I mean, you'd have, what, 3 guards up here, 3 guards at the middle school. I'm just saying that they're still babies. In my book, they're still babies. You know, and you got to take care of them as much as you can. I'm just saying, it's like when they go outside, it's open game. There could be anybody in them woods. You know, at least have somebody that's out there that's trying to, you know, if something goes
That same
wrong.
scenario would be in effect with you there by yourself now. That doesn't change.
Oh, yeah, that's true there.
Well, thank you very much for your input. I appreciate it. Thank you. Sir, your name, sir?
Vince Capozzi, I'm just asking 2 follow-up questions if I could. So, again, going back to my first question, now the marching band is involved in the $100 assessment. However, the band is not going to participate in 3 games. It just kind of is a disconnect there for a lot of us we're paying more, but we're getting less. You know, and away games are more than just, people get on a bus. It's a chance for camaraderie. I've seen my daughter, because of those away games, go from a shy young lady to a confident girl because of the interactions on the bus, okay? And I feel the same way about athletics as Mrs. Bortz and Mr. Frankhauser, I'm sure, can attest. And I am a former athletic director, but I do have to ask this question in all sincerity and not as to try to be smart or anything, but the band and the cheerleaders have given something up. Has there ever been any consideration of maybe the athletic teams playing a couple less games? I mean, you don't have to play 24 basketball games. You only are required to play your conference games. The money you could save there in security and facilities, I think, from speaking with Mrs. Bortz said, would be a way to find some extra money, or even moving the games that we play at night to Saturday afternoon. Now you're not paying for lights. Now, I realize that's an unpopular thing, and as I said, I'm very pro-athletics, but there are people that seem to be biting the bullet here, and the only thing that athletes are being asked to do is pay $100, even if it's $100 a sport. It doesn't seem like there's a connection there.
You know, afternoon games, to me, is a safety thing. For night games, they're always scary.
Right, so you have your security risks. So I'd just like to have the board consider that, because there are some people that are willing to make concessions, but there are others who seem like, well, we're still going to play our 25 games, and band, hope you have a good time at home on 5 Friday nights or 4 Friday nights.
We also, you have to understand, we have to do our budget by July 1st.
No, I understand. I understand that.
Listen to me. Yeah, we understand there's going to be some adjustments and some changes, and give us some time. I mean,
okay, that's fine.
We have to have a budget by that time.
Yeah, that's a shame.
You should know.
Yeah,
you should know better.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I'm just raising questions.
Yeah,
this is my opportunity to do it. That's all.
Listen, we have gone through all those kinds of questions.
Okay.
I've been in the school district since 1963, so I understand everything that people are concerned about. But when you start talking about cutting staff members, you're talking about 35 and 40 kids in a classroom.
Right,
That's
I
not
agree.
that's not workable. But
No, I
we have through attrition, we've cut positions. We are going to have people go from the high school to the middle school to teach. So we are looking at every single avenue to try to find funds and maintain the programs that we have. And I was just told just the other day, Peters Township, one of the richest school districts in the state. You know what I'm talking about? They pay to play.
Well, yeah, Hemphill does too, which is one of the largest. This is not a new concept.
We don't like this.
No.
And I can understand how the frustration that people have to do this. And, I was an athlete, my family wasn't, we're in athletics, so we understand every single question that's been brought before us.
It's not the pay to play or the pay for the band or whatever. I understand that is a reality. And as I said, a school district as big as Hemphill does it, so I certainly understand that. All I'm asking is that we're going to pay this, and I'm not going to complain about paying it, but it seems like I'm paying this for my daughter to participate less. And maybe these other things to look at might be other ways that we could kind of mitigate some changes too, that's all.
I will be looking into the WPIA scheduling issues tomorrow morning based on
Yeah.
what you just said.
Yeah, just a thought.
That's what I was going to say. I think a lot of our sports teams, they're required to play a certain schedule.
They're required to play a minimum amount, but they're not.
But where you may have a point is exhibitions and scrimmages and things like that.
Yeah.
And I will say that Mr. Hench and Mr. Smith, they did cut athletic teams' budgets. So they went through and unless it was a safety need,
right.
And in most cases, those items were cut. So
And the possibility
very fair.
the possibility in the middle school, you have a 7th grade and 8th grade boys basketball team, maybe they can go play at the same venue instead of
a lot of schools
the Waynesburg, going somewhere.
So that's fine. I just wanted to throw out a suggestion. That was all.
We really appreciate it.
Well, thank you. I appreciate the time.
I can understand some of the things you were asking us. Thank you.
You know, everybody that has come up here or has mentioned anything at all, we are taking this all into consideration for next year's budget. And we would like for you to come up with some more things before the budget so we can work on it. Thank you.
And I personally have asked Mr. Hinch for not only this year's budget, but I wanted to see what 1920 also is, so we can take a look at what's going to happen. Not next school year, the school year after that. So those are things that I personally have asked him to start looking into, because we need to not get into this situation that we're in right now. Another question, ma'am?
Can you guys clarify what you're including? I still getting clarity. Is it $100 per child per sport or $100 per child for the schools?
Right now, we're working on the framework.
But you're moving, so you're working on it. We're looking at two.
But I anticipate that there would be some type of cap, that once the student reached that cap, it would no longer be in effect.
I would think our $100 would be able to have my son play baseball, basketball, whatever, but clarify.
We know that $100 per sport is what we looked at in order to balance the budget, or per activity. Where that goes, I mean, we're not looking to earn any more, we're not looking to make money, but we do have to offset costs.
My next question is the boosters and all the moms and all these people put together. They already anticipate how much to give these kids equipment, all this other stuff. Now you're saying on top of that, they have to pay another $100. What happens to the children that they can't pay $100? I see that you can do, you said outside, whatever way you can get grants and stuff for that. Can you get grants for the kids that can't afford to play sports, that it's unfair?
I don't know that we can or can't for that, ma'am.
So is there any way
give you a
for
definitive
the
answer
school
there.
to help out for fundraisers within the school?
Yes, I brought that up today with the athletic department, that
I didn't hear the question.
it was about helping the school district. And when I spoke with the athletic department, Mr. Hench, we discussed that there needed to be not booster fundraisers, but district fundraisers that were provided by the school district to help kids they can't afford to play, because there's plenty of them out there. And I personally would help if I could. If there's anything I can do to help somebody, my kids are involved in athletics, their friends are.
I'll do anything I can to help them. It's necessary. It's happening. Pay to participate in activity fees are happening across the country. I lived in Minnesota for 3 years.
It's not perfectly okay.
It happened there.
When you have a single parent family that has 2 kids and they can't help that situation.
I completely
And
agree.
now would rather be playing sports than on a video game, you're going to tell them they can't play now. If you take this $7 and you look at all of us and say, the school district's going to come up with a fundraiser to help these families, I'm okay with that.
Good, because that's the
What
plan.
happens to these kids that they afford to do, and their parents can't afford it? I want you guys to come together and figure out how some of these kids can.
Last thing we've gone for media athletics. I'm a product of athletics. If it hadn't been for athletics, I probably wouldn't be sitting here today. That was my vehicle in college. I don't want to see anyone deprived of their ability to play at all. We're going to do everything we can in order to ensure that our programs aren't suffered and that no student is sitting at home playing a video game instead of out playing basketball, baseball, or football. I mean, that's something we don't want. I mean, we're not happy about this any more than you are.
What we can do to help other kids that can't afford it.
Yeah, I mean,
That's what the agenda is looking at.
all we're looking to do is balance the budget, make sure that we're not taxing you guys any more than we have to. We're making sure that we can still maintain our programs and the integrity of the school district at the same time.
And I'll be respect that, but I'm looking into the kids where to say, you don't want the class ratio to be too much, you're not letting on jobs, and I completely understand. But I also look into the kids that they're kicked out of them, they're kicked out of video games, and if they're going to miss out on something they love to do, that's heartbreaking to me. And if the school can take it upon themselves, because the boosters are already going out, and spending a lot of time to help with equipment, offsetting for fundraising stuff. Let's put in the school district.
You know what, I'll piggyback on what you're saying. Mr. Raymond had a comment earlier on tonight about write-your legislatures. Mr. Landon commented about the issues that we dealt with when we went to Harrisburg. And I'm paraphrasing what PDE and what the state said to us. But bottom line is, they told us that if we want a quality school district, then it's the community's responsibility to pay for it. They're not going to provide us any extra money. And they've historically and routinely deprived us every year since I've been here. We're trying to do the best we can with what we have. The group that you have up here right now has made a lot of hard decisions. They spent hours and hours not only sitting in a boardroom trying to figure out how we can make this work, but also with telephone calls to each other, working, trying to find out solutions. We're on your side. We're not against you.
Sure. I just clarification.
Ma'am, listen, if we have any child, somebody can't afford their child to play, call Dr. Wallace, we'll make sure that's done.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
We would do that. I've offered myself to do that if we have any child that cannot participate.
And I'm offering for a
And
child.
I'm sure every board member up here, if we find any child, and I went over that with Mr. Harder today, he knows it's an open phone call to me if there's a child that can't go to Montville or wherever. We'll come up with the fights to do what we have to do. You know, I was involved in closing of St. Mary's School. I was the principal there, and there was a debt of $127,000 or $30,000. I had people, when that happened, offered to pay that debt off to keep that school open. That didn't happen. So we understand the hardship that people are going through. And I, for one, if we have any child that wants to participate, they can prove that they cannot pay, we'll be glad to accommodate. I was on the sewage authority in South Union for 40 years. We had a plan that there's a hardship plan. We made sure that that person's water wasn't shut off, sewage wasn't shut off, their houses weren't sold. We had a plan to help those people. I'm sure we'll come up with a plan to deal with this. Mr. Price?
I'm Red Price. I represent kind of like the football team. And as boosters, we raise money. We raise a good bit of money. We channel it here, we channel it there. We'll channel it to the kids.
I'm sure
I
you will.
understand the problem you're in. I run a business too. You got to have money. You got to cut something. But instead of maybe buying or sending them to camp, we'll pay
are we required to have X number of games? Does this apply to the other
In
sports?
conjunction with what Mr. I believe Mosley stated, I'm going to start looking into our minimum schedule and what we need and what we can cost save there. At this juncture, just bringing that to our attention is something we're going to start to explore tomorrow. I don't know that we'll run a minimum schedule. I don't know that we'll run or continue to run a maximum schedule that may be augmented to something in between. At this point, we just need to investigate it and take a look into it.
I appreciate it, especially if we are cutting back on different organization plans, such as travelings and things. Like I said, my daughter being on the softball team, this means that we're cutting down on the amount of games that aren't going to count for in section play. Just so that we're aware of what we're paying for.
They don't care.
Section play.
Yeah, they don't care. They send you, they say your schedule is that you have to go to Indiana, like we had a couple years ago, or to Mars, school district. So if we want to stay in the WPL, in that competition, we have to do that. So
We're not going to run exhibitions.
No, we're not going to run an exhibition schedule.
We're going to continue to be able to compete in the WPIAL and the PIA if we qualify. Thank you.
I would like to just clarify a comment I made earlier about our legislators. Our two representatives in this district are Brian Warner and Matthew Allen. And they both do support that legislation I'm talking about, and so does Senator Passaplano, so I just wanted to clarify. The House bill is House Bill 76, if anybody wants to look at that.
I hope all you people go to their offices tomorrow.
Yeah, I don't want you to say that I sent you there.
Yes, sir.
My name's Rick Lane. I got a question for you. School, how's the enrollment at this school? It's dropping in the district overall. But yet the budget keeps rising. I believe it was Mr. DeAndre said there's a class with 3 kids in it in this school district. That gotta go. I'm sorry. We can't afford to keep seeing our taxes go up. So they can have their own little private playground in a band room somewhere or in a classroom. If it's got less kids in it than what should be there, it's got to go. Send them to another school that has that class. There's people losing their homes over this.
We totally agree with you.
Well then, how's come you ain't going away with that class?
At this juncture,
You can agree with me all you want, but you're not doing nothing to help the situation. And believe me, I'm not bad mouthing you. I know you don't get paid for this. I understand that.
We have
But
already
there's people losing their homes over this.
We have already addressed one of our teachers that's going to now go to the middle school to fulfill an opening, and that person's going to have an extended schedule in order for us to provide the same education. And I think that that's going to be addressed with 1 or 2 students in the classroom.
Hey, I've been laid off before. I hate to see anybody lose their jobs. But if we're overstaffed and don't need them, I'm sorry about their luck.
Mr. Lamb and all hands will be on deck this year. I looked at the schedules today before I came over here tonight. We have one individual that we're going to try to put into an independent study type environment to alleviate just what you're saying. All the other classes that I'm looking at right now, at anywhere, you may have some AP classes that scheduling that may have 4 students. They have between 10 and 4, 6, 5, 9, somewhere in there at this junction.
And Rick, what you don't see in there, like I'm sorry.
That's what I can't hear.
I know. What you don't see, because we didn't vote on it, because it wasn't a need to vote on, we didn't replace several teachers in several positions in the district. And as retirements come through, I believe that there is a consensus here to not hire and replace people and continue to move around until it's absolutely necessary to hire. And as far as I'm concerned, the armed security guard that we hired tonight, and I know a few other people feel this way, I'm on a hiring freeze. I will not vote to hire anyone else.
Another thing is what makes people mad, especially like a family that works for school. They're going to be mad.
Yeah.
That's like healthcare.
But
I pay a lot for my healthcare. From what I understand, police this district don't pay.
I pay a lot for mine too.
Mr. Lamb, I would like to address, this has been one of my big concerns as a board member for probably 3 to 4 years now, because we do get a school list of the teachers, the course that they offer, and then the enrollment. And I will be honest with you, I've been hit pretty hard with letters to the editor that I'm singling out students, which we do not have any student names. But again, it goes down to budget and being cost effective, and we shouldn't be offering students classes when there are 1 and 2 and 3. We should be looking at the needs of all of our students, and perhaps there's a different course that we can have 20 or 25 students.
And like I said, I'm not beating up on anybody. That's like you said about people on fixed time. Listen, I'm on fixed time. My boss is the governor of this state. I can't go to him and say, hey, I need more money. So I'm on a fixed income. You know, it's pretty tough right now. I think there's things that can be cut here.
Yes, and we definitely need to maximize all of our classrooms.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
What was the, for the district budget, what was the number, how many minutes?
I can get that for you.
Yes,
You ran through the numbers pretty fast.
the middle is 17.4680.
The total was budgeted.
$50,241,685.
And that's like with the security guards that are police officers that you hired, are you still keeping all the security guards, or are they replacing someone?
At this juncture, we're keeping everybody.
Okay, well, why?
We haven't laid off anyone.
Well, that's more my question of why do we need additional security guards? We now have somebody that has a gun. Why do we need even more when you're saying we need to, we can't?
We still need people to be by doors, we still need people to check bags.
And they can do that?
If there's
The
a,
person with the gun can't
Yeah,
check back?
they can, they can help, but
They can't do it all.
if you come up here to the middle school in the morning, and I've done that myself, just to see what that looks like,
Right.
it's insane.
It's like
There's,
they're old school. But you've been understaffed until now? Is that any security?
I'd say that we've tried to be as frugal as we can, but in light of the current situation nationally with school safety, it was a commitment to our board and to the public. And we've had numerous committee meetings on safety and had packed houses that we increase our security staff in order to meet the possible threat that we may face. And as a result of those meetings and the commitment by the board to keep our staff and students safe, that's where we are today, and having an armed individual, a trained armed individual in every one of our buildings.
We do have maybe a person in one of our buildings that unfortunately may get sick, so we have to have people that can take their place, but they have to be moved from another building. So we're not overstaffed anywhere in this district that I know.
Right, no, I was just curious.
And also, some of our former security guards, they went to school to get their weapons training and so forth, 235s. And we haven't added those people to they were already on staff. So all I'm saying is we're doing the best we can. We really are.
I was just curious. Have you looked into anybody that might have been in armed services or anything that were actually currently employed, that they might be able to carry firearm also?
We have a gentleman that's now on staff. I think he was a federal parole officer.
And we have an armed forces veteran who's also on staff.
Oh, wonderful. That's great. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, everybody, for coming on. Dan, we can't hear you.
Gave permission to post the high school and middle school position. Are you getting permission also to post the position?
That did not happen. Those were just the 2 cafeteria positions that were posted.
Right, but you gave permission for the other, are you getting permission to post custodial and things?
No, not at this point.
Are you going to be
That decision has not been finalized. Are you replacing
Replace those people. see, in one hand, you're asking us to hire people. In
I'm
another
not
hand,
asking you to hire anybody.
Listen to me. You're asking us to fill a position, and other people are asking us to cut positions. So we can't do both.
That's not what I'm asking.
Ms. Jeffries, as it was,
I'm sorry. I really can't, I still can't hear you.
The question was, are you going to post a custodial and maintenance position?
Okay, I'm sorry. And you asked if we were posting some other position?
No,
No, that's it, okay.
no, Ms. Jeffries, that was one of the things that I said that you and I would get together on as a result of this meeting. Until the outcome of this meeting, that was up in the air. Based on what I'm hearing from the board's position on furloughs, or not furloughs, but on retirements and vacancies, is that we're not going to replace. And I will be in touch with you here in the next week to discuss what the contract says in regards to that based on budgetary issues. There's a clause in the CBA that directly relates to that, and we'll be discussing that as the union steward, yourself and I, here in the very near future.
All right, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Question on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries.